Frack on. Welcome to the episode of Frack The Canon. This time we are discussing the Disney Plus shows and ranking them. We are joined again today by Sara Kenny,
Hello.
Renee Nalani,
Hi.
Kenny Jasper,
Hey there.
and last but definitely not least, Tyler Weist.
Probably least. Hi, everybody.
No. Ideas me. All right. So let's start. So we finally got all three Disney Plus shows. I don't know. I think the next big one is What If, but I personally am gonna watch. I'm not as excited as these three. So, what was your favorite? All right. So, out of WandaVision, Loki, and Falcon Winter Soldier, what were your favorites? Like in what order? Tyler, we'll start with you.
Sure. My favorite's Loki, second Wanda, third Falcon and Winter Soldier.
Interesting. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Renee, what's yours?
Mine is WandaVision, Loki, then Falcon and Winter Soldier as well.
Sara, what's yours?
Well, I agree with Tyler. And, Loki, and then WandaVision, and then Falcon Winter Soldier.
Last but not least, Mr. Kenny Jasper.
Oof, I gotta break it up a little bit. I would go WandaVision, Falcon, Winter Soldier, then Loki. And that isn't quality of the show. That's just personal preference.
I would second that. I feel the exact same way as Kenny. I felt it was the way they came out: Wanda, Falcon, and Loki. Why did you choose it the way you did? Like, in your opinion, like, Sarah, we'll start with you.
Well, for me, I mean, again, I'm a huge Thor fan, so like it kind of already had me in the bag for Loki to be my favorite, and I think he's actually my favorite character out of all the characters that were featured in these shows. I really liked WandaVision and how it dealt with grief, but I felt the portal of it all being through like the TV shows kind of like it took me a while to get used to that, like as a method for the show. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, I struggled to get through, and I hate to say that, but I found it kind of boring. So I don't know why I didn't. The only thing I liked from that show was when he came out as Captain America at the end. I was like, yes, finally, this should have happened in like episode 1, because this is what I'm actually excited for. But I mean, obviously they had to show his journey and everything, but like I didn't really enjoy that show.
Renee.
For me, I picked WandaVision first because I liked the premise of the story. A woman going through the 5 stages of grief, basically, and her journey to realize her own self-worth, her power, basically. Mm-hmm. And then Loki, because I just like Loki as a character. It's fun. There were some slow moments in the series, but overall it was a fun journey. And Falcon and Winter Soldier, I rated it last because of the social political. As interesting as it was, there was some lulls in the story that didn't fascinate me. I'm not big on action movies as it is when it comes to like war stuff and political stuff, so it didn't have that much of an interest for me.
Tyler?
Yeah, so I rank it the way I rank it because I feel like my primary criteria in my ranking is cohesiveness of story. And I felt like Loki had the most cohesive story. Wanda was second, and a distant third for me was Falcon and Winter Soldier in terms of cohesion.
Kenny, did you go already?
The way I ranked them was in order of character development, essentially. I think that WandaVision had the most character kind of growth. Personally, Wanda grew from start to finish, like Renee said, 5 stages of grief, and that ship of Theseus moment will forever stick with me as far as like one of the coolest moments that exists in Marvel history.
You are familiar with the thought experiment, the ship of Theseus, in the field of identity metaphysics?
Naturally. The ship of Theseus is an artifact in a museum. Over time, its planks of wood rot and are replaced with new planks. When no original plank remains, is it still the ship of Theseus? Secondly, if those removed planks are restored and reassembled free of the rot, is that the ship of Theseus?
Fantastic, like beautiful moment. Falcon Winter Soldier, I think is a great story between two characters who have a common denominator as a best friend, which was Cap. Sam had a different relationship than Bucky had with him, but they both have the same relationship. And if I'm sure we've all had friends of friends that were like, oh, you meet my other friend, you guys will get along, and then they don't get along at all. Like, and this show does a great job of kind of showing that relationship, and then they build, and then they have that whole coworkers moment.
Not necessarily as a team.
Nope.
We're not that good.
Definitely not.
We're professionals.
Definitely.
And we're partners.
Co-workers.
But we're also a couple guys with a mutual friend.
Friends now gone.
So we're a couple guys.
I can live with that.
Perfect.
Thanks for the help, man. Meant a lot.
Of course.
It's just such a great, again, character growth moment. Loki, I feel like, has a lot of character growth, but it's not necessarily, the show's not necessarily about him internally as much as it is him externally. So because we meet a lot of other Lokis that we enjoy, and Sylvie, who is a major part of the show, and then you get to the final episode, and I feel like Loki himself doesn't do a lot of personal growth, but the show like is leading towards something bigger, hence the season 2. I think season 2 has potential to be like a great, fantastic arc, and wrap more things up. I'm nervous because society has shown before that we're not okay to let things end. But if it's just a season 2 and it's another 6 episodes, that could be really cool. But if it's season 2 and then season 3 and then season 4, 5, 6, I'm more hesitant on that end, which is why I kind of put it toward the bottom. I like complete stories, and I felt like WandaVision told the best complete story. Falcon and Winter Soldier told a pretty solid one, and Loki told a good one, but was a lot of setup for what's going to happen moving forward in the universe.
So I pretty much, my reason is the same. Like, I love WandaVision. To me, the TV thing makes sense. To me, it's when you're depressed, when you're going through grief, you find something to comfort you. And her, it was TV. Like, I watch cartoons, I watch TV, I watch Power Rangers, I put that on. Her, she's a mutant. I'm sorry, she's not a mutant. She is an enhanced human being. And that's her, she made her own show. I'm like, that's cool. That's how she's dealing with grief. Dude, that line that Vision says,
I don't feel the lack. It's all I've ever known. I've never experienced loss because I've never had a loved one to lose. But what is grief? If not love, persevering.
that line is amazing. That's beautiful. I understand completely. That was a character piece. Like Wanda becoming Scarlet Witch, Wanda finally becoming.
You don't know what you've done.
For lack of a better term, a phoenix kind of, you know? I'm like, that to me, I'm like, this is awesome. Like, I don't need to know anymore. I'm happy with this. We know we're getting Scarlet. She's going to be in multiverse of madness. With Falcon Winter Soldier, I agree with Sarah. I'm like, dude, this is so boring. So I don't care. Like, I don't want to end up with Renee. I'm like, I am Hispanic. I'm a minority. I watch comics to get away from this stuff. But at the same time, I'm like, what Isaiah Bradley was saying too, I'm like, it's not wrong. I understand what he's saying because I understand too. Like being a black man and being in American black, it's like growing up too. It's like it's something I heard a lot growing up. Like we're too American to be Mexican, but we're too Mexican to be Americans. I'm like, I got so to me it got to me. I understood it. So on that level, I'm like, I understand it. I understand Falcon's plight and hesitancy to become Captain America, and him and his journey doing so. I was like, all right, cool. So Loki to me, like you said, like this wasn't a character journey. This was like it wasn't character driven, it was plot driven, and it was just to set up multiverse of madness. I'm like, this is what is the point? Like I hated episode 3. All we learned about episode 3 in that show was that every time agent, every Minuteman, everyone in the time TVA is a variant. And then as much as I love Jonathan Majors acting and like spitting dialogue and chewing the scenery, I'm like, dude, he's just talking. Show me this. Like, I don't. And Tom Hiddleston is a great actor. Tom Hiddleston loves being Loki. I can tell that. I just, and of course Jamie Alexander. Duh. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, let's not forget the most important reason for that show. But I'm like, this show, it could have been anybody. Like, this is just setting up Multiverse of Madness. It's just setting up the next stage of Marvel movies. I'm like, it's fine, but to me, WandaVision was be all the best one in my opinion. Like just character growth. And then here's the one that kind of the big frack you to the fans when they brought in Evan Peters as Quicksilver. I'm like, oh, they're doing it. And then they're like, wink, no, it's not. He's Boner. I'm like, oh, that for a Boner joke. Damn, well played, Marvel, well played.
I felt like a lot of people don't or give Falcon or not. God dang it! Sorry, mixing things up. I feel like a lot of people give WandaVision some like unnecessary like grief because they swerved the fan base a lot on some of the things that they were doing, and they're like hurt about it. But I'm okay with all of that. That's storytelling. That is really good storytelling.
Like that is life. Like life, you think is gonna go one way, and then all of a sudden you're laid off. Okay, boom. Yeah. Well, here we go. You know, like, oh, this is gonna go this way, and then something happens.
Expectations.
You know, exactly. Like, that's life.
So, a bit of a response. I am in the camp of knocking WandaVision a little bit because of the Quicksilver fake out.
I'm sorry. Is that the reason why?
No. Just a little bit. This doesn't drop it enough to have it change its ranking. But one of the reasons why it's because something Kenny said about Loki is it answers all the questions that are raised pretty quickly. Whereas WandaVision, for me, with storytelling, you don't never want something to have more questions than answers when anything happens. That would detract from the story. And I feel like similarly to like what happened with the FBI agent who got the powers, who was the daughter of Rambo. Yeah,
Monica Rambeau.
Monica Rambeau. Yeah, thank you very much. It's just all of a sudden stuff's phasing through her. So the question that I was raised from Boner is like, where does he get his powers? Like, so just the witch.
Well, that was
it was a necklace. Yeah, it was Agatha.
Yeah, Agatha. So she can give anybody she wants powers.
Yeah.
Like that's
what it was.
Dumb in my opinion.
I don't disagree with you, Tyler. But where it changes for me as far as storytelling is, you can tell everything kind of as it happens, like not necessarily beat for beat, but chapter for chapter. WandaVision gives you everything, every question that is raised, with the exception of maybe one. It gives it all to you. It gives it all to you at the very last episode.
Right.
Yeah.
Every question that's raised is almost tied up at the last episode. Whereas Loki raises a lot of questions that aren't going to be answered until the Phase 4 movies start to roll out. Falcon and the Winter Soldier almost raises very little to no questions, other than, are we going to get a Captain America 4? And clearly we are. So like, it's different versions of storytelling, but when I look at all three of them individually, the one that's like the most captivating storytelling is to me WandaVision. Like, I don't know why episode 6 gets so much hate, or the finale, I guess I should say, gets so much hate, because to me it shows Wanda like coming to terms with the reality. It shows how strong she is as the Scarlet Witch, and then it shows how passionate she is about how much she cares about something, even if it wasn't real. Vision was always real. Her love for Vision was always real, but those kids were, made up in the time anomaly. She's so passionate about these kids that she's willing to mess with the Darkhold and go to, censor this out if you want, but go to hell to save these children. So.
So, are we gonna volley our critiques? Or are we gonna tackle like each show like one at a time? Because in response to like Wanda,
Let's do it.
I'm not like one of those people who say the finale just ruins it, but I am one of the people who say like it wasn't like an amazing finale. I feel like the last episode could have been multiple episodes. It just felt like so much was being crammed in such a short amount of time. And what really, really, really bothered me about the last episode was like there's no consequence for Wanda. Like she totally like
that's a fair point.
Killed people, and then it's like, okay, bye.
That's a fair point. I agree that there should be consequences for Wanda. But there was a consequence. She lost everything. Like everything she wanted. Again, even though it was fake, her reality, her dream world was destroyed again. Like she did like fuck with the people, but
the consequences is more internal, less external.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, how can they put her in jail? Like,
she's so powerful.
She's uncontainable almost.
If she's like,
one of the strongest. She bodied Thanos like solo. Like if Thanos didn't rain fire down on the army, she would have killed Thanos.
Yeah, and Ultron too.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
and
that's right.
What else? I thought that the last episode, I'm like, this is what I'm like, oh my god, another like, I love where it went until I'm like, oh, just another showdown. I'm like, I'm so sick of like, I thought it was a beautiful character piece until the showdown. I'm like, oh my god, I don't care.
But that was such a cool. Wait, are you talking about the Agatha Wanda showdown?
Yeah.
That was such a cool moment though, because it showed how quickly she could learn a thing. She turned the entire like time anomaly into a sorcerer's trap.
Runes in a given space. Only the witch who cast them can use her magic. Thanks for the lesson.
That was so cool.
That was cool. That was cool.
Was
yeah, that was cool. I'm like, okay, I went to physical, take a shot. We learned that. I'm like, oh, it's gonna come back at the end, and it did. Like I knew, but I'm like, I'm so like, oh, like it was such a cool character. I'm like, can we just not? I'm like, it was cool. It was cool. It was cool seeing her with the Scarlet Witch outfit. Pretty much, they took the Phoenix story and gave it to Scarlet Witch. What happened? And I'm like, okay, this is kind of cool, but it's Phoenix.
You're not wrong.
Like that was my only thing. I'm like,
yeah.
I wish it was more nuanced than just a big, like. But overall, what I got, I loved it overall. So,
I loved how the Wanda had the same moment as the X-Men movie where she just.
That's what I said too.
Yeah.
That was a reference to Magneto. I'm like, that's a reference to Magneto. I'm like, I got that reference.
Okay, Captain America. Yeah.
But all right, so we'll talk about the next one, Falcon Winter Soldier. What were you guys just like? What did you say about what was it, Tyler?
Oh, rewrites. I felt like the story did not have a lot of cohesion because in the original drafts or of like the original how the show was written was all about there's this global virus they didn't have enough medicine for, and that's why in the show the enhanced heroes are stealing medicine, and then this whole show was in production during when COVID hit the world, and then they're like, okay.
I have to spell out. I'm like, wait, what? I have to spell out. Sorry.
Yeah. I'm just trying not to get you flagged on YouTube.
Thank you.
And then, and then
they're like, pandemic. Let's call it the pandemic.
Yeah, during the pandemic
of 2020.
Yeah. Yeah. So they're like, oh no, we have to rewrite, and some of the rewrites are like painfully obvious, and it really destroyed the strength of the antagonists, in my opinion.
I felt that this was like the clunkiest. And I talked with CJ about this. I'm like, this felt like the clunkiest of the three. But I'm like, and at the same time, I'm like, I felt like we didn't need his journey. We didn't need the villains too. I'm like, Falcon's journey could have been without a villain. I don't think we need. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Like I thought like his struggle, like should I not? Because it was also a little bit heavy-handed. I remember
Yeah.
I remember being like, wait, what are you guys doing? Because there's that one scene he had with Zaya Bradley about being like the Black Captain America, and then the Black Ops, and then being thrown away in jail, and then followed by the cop scene like,
What's up, man?
Is there a problem here?
No, we're just talking.
We're fine. Can I see your ID?
I don't have ID. Why?
Just sir, just calm down.
I am calm. What do you want? We're just standing here
Just
talking.
give him your ID.
No,
so
I'm
we
not
get the
giving him
hell out of
shit.
here.
We're just talking.
Hey, look, is this guy bothering
No,
you?
he's not bothering me. Do you know who this is?
Oh, God. I am so sorry, Mr. Wilson. I didn't recognize you without the goggles.
dude, like what are you guys doing? Like, what is this about? Like,
Yeah, I didn't mind that so much. I'm more bothered with
the technical stuff.
Well, just the villains. Like, it was like, why are you killing people? Like, why? Like, I never felt that motivation at all.
They said it, but I'm like, I don't believe it.
They liked the world before, or they liked the world during the blip, right?
Yeah.
Because there was one world. Yeah.
Well, not necessarily. It was they were filling. So the blip wiped out half the Earth, right? And these people who were led to believe are primarily like lesser thans, like poor people, people without jobs, people who are struggling. They are now given housing, food, jobs, opportunities that didn't exist. They do a terrible job of explaining this. I've talked to my wife about this. Like, they do a terrible job in the show of explaining this. But like when you dissect it, you find out that like they're giving opportunity that they've never had in their lives before, and then the reblip or I forget how they the unblip happens, and now they're being removed from these houses that they were given, these jobs that they were given, like all the opportunity that they were given. They're upset about this, like Carly and the Flag Smashers. I do agree, it is kind of clunky. It's clearly rewritten and has a little bit of an issue, but there's something there, and it's arguably like it's a moral villain that most people wouldn't disagree with, I would think. Like so it's kind of tough.
I mean, that's what's happening in Israel and Palestine right now, kind of. So it's kind of reflected in that. But I feel like they were taking on way too many issues in this show. So I just felt like I was getting preached at, like, about everything all at once. And I'm like, I get it. Like, you know.
I second that. And that's what it is. It was too preachy. It was too preachy. And I'm like, as a minority, as a POC, so stupid. I swear to God. As a Mexican American, a Chicano, whatever. I'm like, this is too preachy. You're preaching to the wrong choir. Like, I know what this is. I'm like, you're too preachy. That's what it's too freaking preachy. Like, stop it. Yeah, it shouldn't have been that preachy, in my opinion. I felt it should have just stuck to Zaya Bradley being like, okay, I was Captain America. This is my should. Yeah, and yes, there was tackling too many social justice causes, and I'm like, let 500 of them go.
Yeah, especially at the end when Falcon.
Yes, that Falcon speech. I'm like,
you need to do better, and it's like, okay,
I'm like, dude, are you
constructive
serious?
criticism, please.
Yeah, like I wanted it to be like a buddy cop movie between the two of them, and you got glimpses of that, but it was buried under a lot of other stuff.
I mean, here's the cool thing: we got US Agent, we got the Power Broker, and then I will give this: like, people were hating on John Wyatt. I thought that actor,
he was good,
killed it.
He did amazing.
He did an amazing. I'm like, dude, like, you were playing because I want to punch you, and you were acting your ass off. Good.
So to take from a reference that is very obscure and most people won't get is in wrestling, if a character is a heel wrestler is so bad that you're booing them, that means they're really good at their job. And so people are upset that this Captain America is so bad. Like, that means he's doing a great job. Like, he is fantastic. He's nailing it. And he plays a fantastic US agent. So to like none of the social media, like, undeserved hate aside, like, people need to think about, like, wow, like, he's doing such a good job of acting as something. I'm legitimately upset that I don't have Steve Rogers anymore, that now I have the US agent.
Yeah. Actually, I think if he was the only villain, That would have been a better show. If you get rid of the Flag Smashers and he's the primary conflict, better show.
Yeah, the Flag Convention were too much. I feel, and then the Power Broker. So I say you want to say something.
Oh, I also want to add the fact that every time I watch Falcon fight exactly how Captain America fights, it absolutely drives me nuts because he doesn't have any super serum. So he would be like dead. That absolutely drives me nuts because he's not enhanced.
Vibranium wings.
That does not matter.
Yeah.
If you're flinging basically a frisbee at a force that can like impale trees and then catching it again, like.
Hey, but Spider-Man said it doesn't obey the laws of physics.
That thing does not obey the laws of physics at all.
Yes, thank you. Thank you. That's right.
No, but I'm with Sara though, because like he was fighting Bartrock, who was hand-to-hand handling, like beating Steve Rogers in Winter Soldier. Yet now, like all of a sudden, Sam can do better against Bartrock than Steve did.
But that's right. Yeah, but so did a U.S. agent. So did John Walker.
Well, yeah. At that point, though, didn't U.S. agent have the serum?
He didn't have. No, he didn't. No, he was still using. Yeah. So I'm like. I don't fully agree, sir. I will disrespectfully.
He is a normal person in his late 30s, early 40s. I don't know how old he is. Like, oof. There's no way. There's no way.
Agree to disagree. Respectfully disagree with you, Sarah.
This is where I would go. Comics.
It's a good point, Sarah, but I don't agree with it. I don't agree. I think he was training to be able to use it like Cap did. That's what we'll get the montage for. To quote that song from South Park, gotta use a montage.
There's a reason Olympic gymnasts quit when they turn 25, and that's exactly why Falcon would not be able to do this job.
It's definitely the knee joints.
Yeah, one thing that could have improved it a lot is somehow explaining his new suit or whatever gives him like enhancements or like they have hydraulic knees or something.
She's saying that he was doing it before, like he was training with it.
Yeah.
Before he got the new suit. Sarah, are you seriously looking for realism in a comic book show?
I want it to be somewhat like possible. Like
Super Soldier Serum, you want it to be possible?
Well, no, like I believe that Steve Rogers has some sort of added thing.
What she's saying is like
the verisimilitude.
You can go. Sorry, go ahead.
The verisimilitude of the world. So, like in Superman, that's like when he made that movie. That was the truth of that world. I understand what you're saying, Sarah. Okay, the truth of the world in Captain America. Got it. I got you.
I take it as you can suspend disbelief on some things, but not all things, right?
Well, it's Steve Rogers was Captain America because he had the serum.
Yeah.
So when Falcon does the exact same thing and just has wings, I'm like, this is ridiculous.
But Captain America also got it because he was a good heart. He had a good heart.
Mm-hmm. Well,
okay. Well,
that's not why he became Captain America, though.
Yeah, it's why he became Captain America and didn't lose his mind like U.S. agent.
Yeah, or Red Guardian.
Agent went crazy because he took the serum. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And this is why Winter Falcon's shoulder rings last for me. This is too topical.
Yeah, well, it doesn't follow the rules established by the MCU, which is.
But if they're the MCU though, like if Kevin Feige like this is canon, I thought they're the new rules, are they not?
Not when they contradict other crap, like.
You mean like the Bible?
Well, it just humans clearly have superhuman powers in this universe.
In the Marvel universe,
Hawkeye never misses an arrow? You're telling me Hawkeye never misses an arrow?
We never got his backstory, so I have no idea what he went through to make him be able to shoot like that.
Yeah, and actually, I thought it was always inferred that Black Widow had some sort of enhancement because she said she, in like Age of Ultron, went through some program or something. So
yeah, that's what I thought too. That they were enhanced a little bit.
Right.
Yeah.
That's why I was always okay with her being able to hang, but she never like fought one-on-one with anyone Steve fought to the same success level.
Yeah, she was more sneaky. Like I feel like she really utilized the spy aspects of her character.
It's made very clear in the first Avengers movie. Like Hawkeye and Black Widow are like cleanup, and Steve will fight the aliens one-on-one. That's just what happened.
Clean up.
You guys clean up the messes.
So Hawkeye or Falcon should be on cleanup duty then. That's what you're
Pretty
trying to
much.
say.
Yeah.
With his frisbee.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that before we move on to Loki. Mephisto. Oh no, we'll come back to Mephisto. Loki. So Sara, Tyler, that's your favorite. Elaborate, please.
So again, I mentioned it's my favorite because the writing I felt like was the most cohesive. I feel like going into it, it was very clear about its objective to have Loki explore his own character and to mess with the Marvel timeline. And it never really went too far astray from that. Whereas WandaVision, which I also like the writing a lot, WandaVision, you felt lost in the middle of it a lot of time. They're trying too many misdirects. And with a short series that's only like 5 or 6 episodes, just stay on story. And with Loki, I felt like even if there were a couple long drawn out episodes, I felt like it accomplished its objective.
Sara?
Yeah, well, I mean, Loki's just my favorite out of all the characters that are in these Disney Plus series. So I think I was gonna like this no matter what. But I like how it's like setting up for what's to come, and I just like the magic and the space. I always like science fiction, and it was more science fiction-y than all the rest of them. Because I think even though Wanda, like, she created that world for herself, it was really a story about herself, and her mental journey in this one was definitely more of a sci-fi adventure. So
okay. Renee, Kenny, any thoughts on Loki?
I have to agree with Sara. It's definitely more sci-fi, and even in the intro itself, it lends itself to be a more of a sci-fi story, especially when it involves time traveling, different timelines. It was definitely, that's why it's my second favorite, because it was definitely one of the more interesting Marvel TV series that has been put out so far.
Kenny?
Loki, it's conflicting because I love the story that it told. I love how it moved the universe forward and the characters that it presented. I just get frustrated when some things can't exist within themselves. So some of it felt like we're gonna do a season. It felt like by episode 3, they're like, we're getting a season 2. So we don't need to end this story necessarily. We can tell more of it in season 2. And I know that Loki as a MCU and Tom Hiddleston are fan favorites. So they're like, how can we keep this character who's dead in the normal timeline alive for fans to enjoy? And so some of it felt a little forced. And you were right when you said that maybe it could have been any other character. It didn't have to be him, but it was going to be him because fans love that character. That said, we got a lot of enjoyable moments out of the show, and I love Norse mythology. It's one of my favorites. But the show didn't do it for me completely.
Yeah, I think Tom was a great actor. I love him as Loki. I remember it being like he's the best thing in Thor. Aside from a second to James Alexander. But I just felt like it could have been It was a setup for the multiverse. It should have been shorter, in my opinion. There was a lot of scenes that I'm like, you don't need this scene. Like, this is like, as much as I love that scene with him in Pompeii, I'm like, we don't need this. We don't need this scene at all, in my opinion. But yeah, I'm just like, all right. But we, like you said, we did get a lot of enjoyable moments. That was a lot of memorable moments. We did get Tara Strong in his minutes. I'm like, I didn't know I need this, but I got it. That was awesome.
It's minutes.
I've never jumped at a freaking animated clock before, like I did for that one.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just thought it was like, wow, it was Spice, as I called them in the previous episode, Spice Girl Loki was awesome too. I'm just like, I wish you would have used it for something else, like, or hold you up for a bit something bigger. If that makes any sense.
Well, okay, we want to talk about scale. This is the biggest thing that's ever happened in the MCU. Like, the entire timeline gets shattered.
I meant more like a bigger, like a movie, like something like that, like a bigger movie or something, or maybe, you know, like a bigger something akin to Endgame.
So
like,
what Tyler
Go ahead, sorry.
said though, like this, and it matters because why I'm blanking on Tilda Swinton's character from
Ancient One.
Yeah, the Ancient One. She says in Endgame, she's like, if you pull one of these strings, it all unravels. This is the unravel. Like, this is where it all unravels. And so, like I said, this story like matters, but it matters for the movies we're gonna go, or it matters for the scenes we're gonna see in the movies and theaters. It doesn't necessarily matter for the scenes we're gonna see on whatever next Disney Plus show comes out. What If, like we kind of hinted on What If is gonna be some canon, but like a Hawkeye show, like you got to watch Black Widow to know why that's gonna matter.
Yeah.
Like, and without spoiling anything, you got to go watch Black Widow to know why that's gonna matter.
Yeah.
And then there's a couple other shows that are coming out that don't necessarily matter from this, but I guarantee will matter from what happens in Doctor Strange or what happens in Shang-Chi or what happens in any of the next movies we're going to get in the next 4 or 5 months.
Eternals is
Yeah.
coming out, isn't it?
Yeah, and actually, Kenny, you said really early on that this show feels like it's going to matter to the story more than any of the other Disney Plus, and that's why it surprised me you rank Loki so low, even lower than Falcon and Winter Soldier.
I hearken that to character growth more than anything. I like seeing a character's arc of the story more so. Like when Captain America picks up Mjolnir in Endgame is the biggest moment for me because it's been hinted at. We also know he's worthy. It was never a question that he wasn't worthy. He was always going to be worthy. But when he picks it up and then Thor goes, I knew it, and then he just proceeds to whoop Thanos with it, that is a character growth moment. I look at that and like it makes me like feel things internally more so than like telling a universe moment or a universal story thing, because we as all people, individuals, want character growth within ourselves. You want to know that you're better next week than you were last week. All of WandaVision has the biggest character growth. She goes through the actual 5 stages of grief. Falcon has amazing character growth, and even Winter Soldier does too, where he forgives himself for murdering the child of somebody he's made friends with in his current day-to-day life.
That moment Loki, of him, I want to touch on that. That moment of him crying, dude, like broke me. I was crying.
Amazing,
dude.
Amazing.
What the hell is going on? Yeah, that's like, a great moment.
Writing wise and acting wise, like that is a fantastic moment. Loki has possibility of those moments.
It has memeable moments. It doesn't have character moments, in my opinion. Actually, no, I lied. There is a couple of moments. There is the moment when they kiss. I thought that was a character moment. That is a good. That is a good character. Yes, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna comment. So the moment when they kiss, and the moment where I forget exactly how the line goes, but basically he says like something like it's kind of cold out and like can like manifest a cloak for them to like cuddle.
Yeah, get their both frost giants.
Frost giants, yeah.
Yes. Great individual moments. But it felt like Loki was more fan service to be fan service, while telling and moving the gonna mix another metaphor. In football, it's just moving the yardstick forward. So it just felt like it was trying to like move it forward, to move the ball forward, to move the ball. Didn't feel like you were accomplishing anything as like an individual or as like a team. It was just like we're gonna get to where we need to go to get to where we need to go, which is why it's ranked toward the bottom.
Sarah, I think it looks like you want to say something.
Me? Oh, well, I do think Loki changed. Like, I just think it's more subtle because the story wasn't really about him. I mean, it's part of his journey, but I don't even think it's over yet. Like, if they are planning a season 2 and we're already playing a season 2, maybe he has more to change. But I think the fact that he wasn't just willing to stab the guy at the end shows that he's not just this crazy egotistical guy. Like, for me, I just think it was smaller development just because the story wasn't meant to be about just his emotional journey. Whereas I feel like Scarlet Witch, like that was like her grieving. Like the whole purpose of that show was to help her get over the death of Vision, and Loki had like a different purpose.
Well, what do you think what the purpose was, though? Because I honestly, to me, I didn't feel Loki changed that much. I mean, yeah, he was not as. At the end of the day, it was. I would argue that he was still kind of looking at himself a bit. Don't kill us, because they'll kill. That's kind of also like self-serving a little bit. But I'm like,
yeah,
I want to make that argument, but I can't fully make that argument. If that makes sense.
I agree with Sarah in the sense that if season 2 comes out and I see more, like I'm more than willing to change like where I rank these things based on like the more that we get. But like it felt like the character growth didn't move very far because his ultimate goal as an individual still felt very much him, self-serving. Like it didn't seem like I see the points, but also at the same time I also see where he is still being Loki, and he's like, if things unravel, it just makes my life harder.
But I think towards the end, when they were trying to get through the monster, he put his life on the line because he trusted Sylvie. And I don't think previous Loki would be willing to risk that much. I think he would have gotten to that world and been like, I'm going to make myself king of all the Lokis.
But didn't we see that in Thor Ragnarok, though? Like,
but that's developed.
Yeah.
That's future Loki.
Okay, yes. Fair point. That's right. You guys are absolutely right.
And a really important character moment I think we didn't mention yet is when the Miss Minute says, do you want the throne? It's yours. Do you want the Infinity Gauntlet? It's yours. We can do anything with this timeline you want. And he turned it down. And I think that one moment, also the stabbing and trying to stop that from happening, shows his motivation changed. But I agree with Kenny. If you want to base your criteria on character development, possibly that ranking absolutely makes sense. But yeah, I do think this show did what we thought would be impossible, which is get Loki to where he is at the end of Ragnarok in development without all the movies.
But it wasn't earned. I mean, I didn't see that as earned. Like, at least it was. We saw him get earned in the movies, though. Like, he kind of got beat into him. Like, okay, maybe I should be a better person, a better brother.
By Lady Sif.
As much as I love that, I'm like, I don't think that's. I don't know if I agree with that. Like, I don't know if that was. I don't know. I don't think that was the best way. I maybe because I'm a person like it or how I saw it in the movies. Like
yeah.
To me, or maybe I understood more, but I'm like, I don't know.
It was a different kind of love, right? From the movies, it was a brotherly love.
It was a brotherly love, like right.
In the show, it was a self kind of love. Therapists would argue that self-love is far more important than any other kind of love.
Yeah.
So maybe this version of Loki is ultimately the best version of Loki.
But it was an external self-love, because it was the other Loki. It wasn't himself,
Yeah.
I mean, it was self-love, but it was an external self-love. As someone's been through a therapist a couple times, I'm like, I don't know, man.
One could argue that Loki doesn't love himself going into this show, and then by the end of it, he loves himself, even if it's not externally or not internally presented.
Because they do have that conversation where it's like, you know, like God of Mischief, like what do you get out of like who you are as an individual? And like this show kicks off with that. Mobius like showing like, you know, that Loki's timeline. And like I've said in the previous episodes, like that episode is fantastic to show like individual growth. But you can see it on Hiddleston's face, like as an actor. It's fantastic. But where I get lost in is like, I guess in episodes like 3, where nothing really happens, like he's kind of being his usual self, or episode like 5, where like a lot of things happen, but also like story wasn't told. And then we get to the end of it, I'm like, while the Loki we currently have isn't the same Loki that like tried to take over New York, it's also not very far from it, I feel like.
Agreed. I would agree. Sarah, look like you want to say one more thing. No.
Well, I just want to say it's only been like 5 days, like in
That's
the whole
true.
story. So I don't know how much you can really like change your entire person in that short of time. But
Yeah, if any of these shows deserve a sequel, it's this one, because that first show was so short in time.
Okay. Yeah. Renee?
Well, Loki definitely was a fun journey. I'm just curious to see how season 2 is gonna, in what direction season 2 is gonna go going forward. Sorry, I have a cat in my lap.
Oh, can we see the cat?
He just hopped off.
Just kidding. What's the cat
But but the reason why I ranked it second is definitely that character growth, also to hop on that train. It's definitely going to be Loki's journey of self-love, eventually, because that's all he wants. Ultimately, yeah, he says he wants to rule, but really he just wants to be loved and accepted in general. So that's why I ranked it what I ranked it. I'm all about that mental health storylines.
Wait, Loki about mental health?
Yeah, for
Yes.
self-love.
Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
loving yourself is central to
I think all three of these stories play like a pretty good part, like what mental health, like in various degrees. Like without going too deep into it, that I think maybe one of the reasons I ranked WandaVision so high is just like going through like the rest of the scene.
Yeah,
especially through 2020 and like how bad it was.
Yep.
Like I lost. You can cut all this out. This is a total side note. I lost my cat at the beginning of 2020 before like the pandemic fully hit, and like being trapped inside of a house where like, you know, I got to spend the most amount of time with him. It's like totally crushing to me. And then to like see the show and like where she was with like something she's never had before and like got to grow with, and Vision is this thing that really shouldn't exist but does because Marvel Universe, like it, and she's this thing that shouldn't exist but also because Marvel Universe, like it's amazing. And that's one of the reasons why I love that show. It's like to see somebody go through something that I've gone through, like within the last year. Beautiful moment.
Love perseveres.
Yeah.
All right. Any final comments? Any final thoughts on any of the 3 shows?
I just want to say, thanks to the discussion today, my ranking didn't change, but I definitely pushed WandaVision up higher in because all the points were raised. So thank you for this discussion.
Sarah?
I just want to say that Falcon cannot physically do the same exact stuff as Steve Rogers unenhanced. And that's my stance, and I'm sticking to it.
I want to see my same joke again, but I can't. I shouldn't. Renee?
Well, I am looking forward to Damn it, Renee. Ruining my final moment. I'm just kidding.
You don't blame me, blame Sarah. Terrible. It is my fault. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Sarah. I'm sorry, Renee. All right, go ahead. Take two.
It's all good.
Take two. Go for it.
All right. My final thoughts. My ranking hasn't changed, but everybody has raised some really good points for their shows and why they rank them, and I don't disagree with a lot of them. And that being said, I am looking forward to what we're going to see going forth with Phase 4, so we can have more of these discussions.
Next one is What If?
Yeah, What If?
What If or Shang-Chi? What If?
No, well, next Marvel thing I think is Shang-Chi.
No, I think it's What If and then Shang-Chi.
What If starts in August?
Well,
yeah, What If is in August, Shang-Chi is in September.
Oh, okay. Well, What If is going to be weekly, right? And probably, 6 to 8 episodes?
I don't know.
They're going to bleed into each other,
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Huh.
All right, your final thoughts, good sir.
My ranking hasn't changed as far as how I've ranked them, but I will hold reserve till Loki season 2. I think that new things coming out can impact how old things exist. So while I might put Loki at the bottom, I'm curious. I'm very, very curious to see where we get to with season 2, and excited for. But ultimately, I think that all of these stories tell a really good personal character development stories, and they're absolutely worth your time and investment for watching.
Alrighty. More Jimmy again on everything. I think Sarah's just hating because it's not what's his face? Chris Evans. That's all I'm saying.
I hate Captain America in general. I'm sorry, but
I mean, I don't disagree with you. I prefer.
I like him far more than I'll ever like Superman.
I agree. I'm with
I
Kenny.
agree.
Superman's way too powerful.
Yeah, overpowered.
I don't know. I think Goku is more powerful than Superman. That's for talk for a different day.
I was going to say that.
That's a journey to the west.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
Talk for a different day. All right.
Goku
We'll see you. We'll see you same freaking time, same freaking channel. Frack off.